Hello and welcome. This video is going to be a review of Ghostwater, the 5th book in the Cradle series by Will Wight. Just like with all of my other reviews for this series, this was listened to on Audible. However, you can actually get a physical copy of the book or you can read it on Kindle. That is because all of Will Wight's books are independently published. So he created Hidden Gnome Publishing. That is his publishing company. So it's technically self-published, but like a little bit better than self-published, if that makes sense. He's also the best independently published author, or most successful independently published author of the century so far. So lots of accolades. The reason why I've gone into that is because I haven't in a while. I normally do it for the first book of the series, and then I'm just kind of like, all right, you've heard me talk about Will Wight before, but giving you a little bit of a refresher there. And the reason why is because Ghostwater is basically a montage. So if you haven't seen any of my other reviews for the Cradle series, I will link up the last review for Skysworn up above. But it's a montage, you know, if you have some kind of athletic movie where like the underdog fighter or the underdog hero has to undergo a lot of training in order to catch up. That's basically all of the main characters for this book in this book. The Ghostwater is a montage. And I'm not saying that it's not like 2 minutes of just music with them doing hi-ya karate chops. It's actually very interesting and well done. It's just to concisely summarize the book, that's what this is. It is a montage for Lyndon, Yaren, Mercy, and Orthos. But the book does open up with Lyndon doing a mission for the Skysworn that is obviously supposed to be a failure for him. It is very obvious that the Skysworn sent Lyndon on a mission that they didn't expect him to be successful in, or at least not successful and also not maimed. There still seems to be a lot of bad blood from the ending of the Skysworn book. A lot of bad blood. They are not having Yaren's blood shadow at all. Now you know what it is because in book 4 of the Skysworn, the Bleeding Phoenix, which is one of the dread gods, awakens ahead of schedule, which you find out is because of the fact that 2 Abaddon judges interfered with Cradle, and because both of them interfered independently, but not knowing the other one had interfered, it kind of exacerbated the timeline for when some of the events are supposed to happen on Cradle. So Dread God woke up early, and Yaren's blood shadow went nuts in the last book, and the Skysworn are begrudgingly keeping them as agents, but also not wanting them to be agents. So you have Lyndon, who is the only practitioner of Black Flame that's not Orthos. And then you have Yaren, who is the Sword Sage's apprentice disciple, but also has a blood shadow attached to her. And then you have Akura Mercy, who is the Monarch's daughter, but has been kicked out of the family. So you have 3 people that they don't know what to do with and they don't want there. So what they ended up doing is they sent them on this scouting mission because Ghostwater, which is the title of the book, I do like how it's very simple. Like, I do like how every book that Will Wight has published in the series so far has been very much like on the nose as far as the title goes. He's like, it needs to be 2 syllables and it needs to be directly with the main thing of the book. I find that very funny. But Ghostwater is Northstrider's pocket world, which Northstrider was introduced to us in the first book by Serial, which is one of the beings of great power that has enough power to defeat the Dread God to save Sacred Valley. So Lyndon was shown Northstrider in Serial's vision. So this is Northstrider's pocket world. And the point of the pocket world was actually to make the presence that the Abaddon have. So The info dumping that I talked about in Unsold is done by the judge's presences. That is basically a memory construct that is attached to their brain that gives them, like, well, is used as a plot device to info dump to the reader. So if Will Wight wants to expand upon something, he uses iterations or the judges presence to basically info dump the information into the reader. And Ghostwater was Northstrider's attempt at making the Abaddon presence construct. It was unsuccessful, and so Northstrider abandoned Ghostwater. The store opens and they send the Skysworn, send Yaren and Mercy and Lyndon and Orthos to go take a look and see what's there and if they can gather any treasures to bring them back. And then you have the two Skysworn guards, which Renfei and Yellow-Eyed Dude Bro. I cannot remember his name to save my life. I will probably remember it as soon as I cut this camera off. But they split them into two groups. Orthos and Lyndon and Renfei go inside Ghostwater, and Yaren and Mercy and Dude Bro are left outside. And stuff happens. And they get separated, and the portal is closed with the two groups separated. And then the montage happens, pretty much. So Mercy and Yaren end up having their own trial outside of Ghostwater that is like at a quarter of the interest level of what's going on in Ghostwater with Lyndon and Orthos. But it's still significant because it brings Mercy and Yaren together, and you learn a whole lot more about Mercy and like her abilities. And then you get introduced to Dross, which I talked about how I love Ethan as a character, and it's like you took the plucky sidekick but made him like a main character and like the mentor character. But now you actually have a plucky sidekick in Dross, and man, Ethan is still at the top, but Dross is like pretty close. I love both Ethan and Dross. Ethan, unfortunately, this book does not have that significant of a presence. Like I said, it's a montage to help Yaren and Lyndon and, well, help Yaren and Lyndon reach that next stage, which is pretty great. It's very clever, and I say that it's a montage only because that's the best descriptor for it, but it's not interesting. Like, it's not like filler book. Like, I can recognize what is happening, but there is enough happening in the story to where it doesn't feel like a filler. Like, it doesn't feel like a placeholder. It's just something that has to happen before the next book can come out, or the next significant thing to happen. Even though the stuff that happens in Ghostwater is significant. I don't know how to say that. I really liked it. You actually get dragons for the first time in this book, which is cool. Beyond, you know, Orthos the turtle, who is a black dragon, even though he's a turtle. I still haven't quite figured that out yet. But you encounter gold dragons for the first time. Just like in D&D, all of the different colors of dragons have different abilities and different aesthetics, which is very, very much a throwback into D&D. I don't know if Will Wight plays D&D, but I respect that as someone who has played D&D and liked that each dragon color had their own aesthetic and their own like type of magic that they preferred. I thought that was very, very cool. Again, Will Wight is very, very quick writing. It's very sharp. It's very witty, especially in Dross's writing. Like, I laughed out loud a couple of times in this book from Dross. Also, I think this is the first time that he introduced bloopers at the end. Maybe I just haven't paid attention because I'm so into like reading, like wanting to get to the next book. But I was in the middle of working and I didn't feel like my phone was away from me, so I actually heard bloopers for the first time. If this is something that's been in every book and I just have not noticed, I'll go back and re-listen to the bloopers because I thought those were also very funny at the end of the performance. Again, Treeborn gives an excellent performance, and I will say that Yaren kept her accent most of the time this time, and all the other Byro. It's Renfei and Byro. Byro is the yellow-eyed dude bro. That's the other card. I knew as close to the end that I was going to remember his name. Another character that you're introduced to in this book that I really hope has a more significant role in later books is Zeal. I don't know how to describe Zeal as a character. I like Zeal, but as someone who has always been attracted to like the moody, emotionally unavailable boy in their life for most of their life, Zeal's my kind of dude. I'm pretty sure if I met Ethan, as much as a reader I love Ethan, I'm pretty sure if I had to deal with Ethan on a daily basis, I would treat him the same way that Yaren and Lyndon does. But I really like this series. I enjoyed the montage that was Ghostwater. I do recommend this book. It's added in my recommended fantasy, which is down in the description below if you're interested. And I am already listening to Underlord. So thank you guys for watching this review. Again, quick summary, Ghostwater's a montage. If you like a montage, read this book. And I will see you in the next video. Bye! Bye.